Just waiting for Echo to come into the meeting. She shouldn't be too far away. 7:30 in the morning here, so it means it was an early morning for me. Anyway, gotta do what you gotta do because she's in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is 5 o'clock their time. And Echo hasn't been well for the last few days. She's had a migraine. She only told me last night she's up at 3:30 in the morning doing office work. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Oh my gosh. And I said, I'll send you healing immediately. I'm going to go set up my altar. And so that's what I did. I had some clients to do healing with also. But I spent some time on Echo since she was, in a bad way. Anyway, hopefully I, spent a bit of time working on her, or at least God was working on her. And I'm wondering now how she's feeling. Hopefully she won't be too far off. Oh. Hello?
I'm sorry I'm late.
It's okay. Oh my God, it's only a few minutes. How are you feeling?
It's getting better today. It's
Oh
getting better.
my God.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
I hope I could assist you with some healing 3:30 in the morning for you.
Yeah. Yeah, that was crazy town last night. Oh my
So did you
goodness.
end up going to sleep or what happened?
Yeah, let's see. After I heard from you the last time, I went to bed and it took about 20 minutes, but I got to sleep
Yeah.
and then I slept straight through. So it's good. Yeah,
Wow. Well, that's good
it's all
because I
good.
worked on you for about 20 minutes and
Thank you.
you're welcome. So
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
was hoping that, you were in bed by the time I wrote to you
Yeah.
saying that I'd finished.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I was, honey. Yeah, I got your message this morning. So thank you very much.
oh, my pleasure.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's so nice to have you back. Echo Bodine, psychic medium. Oh my gosh. It's such a privilege and an honor, honey. Oh my gosh.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
So,
what are we going to do today?
oh my gosh. Well, I had such a big response from our last interview
Wow.
and people really interested in really learning how to trust their intuition and wanting to talk about crossing over, what happens after we die. And obviously, I know that you actually had asked God to go
Yeah.
over, and,
Yeah.
and I actually have that session that I downloaded from your
Yeah.
website, and it's phenomenal. So if you want to, talk about that or
Sure.
however you want to
Sure.
go into it, it's fine.
Sure, honey. I'll talk about anything you want to talk about. Okay. The number one question. How do you trust intuition? Ooh, that's a tough one because you know what? It's like we have to take risks constantly, and we have. Oh boy, it's it's an interesting process to say the least. Because if we think about it, so often we end up saying, "I knew that was going to happen. I knew I should have done that." So what we have to start doing is when we get those knowings, we need to act on them. We
Yeah.
need to trust them. And um, gosh,
And this is the thing, you've been a psychic like all your life, pretty much, but
uh-huh.
nobody is invisible to this because even as psychics, working psychics, I know I still struggle with my own intuition at times. Are you the same?
Yes, honey. Yes. sometimes, it'll say things that I think that doesn't even make sense. And it was funny. Last week I had one. I can't remember what it was, but I think it was sometime during the day, and I think I still had my pajamas on. I was working at the computer, I think. And all of a sudden, this just get dressed. So I thought, get dressed. Why? There's nothing. I can be in my pajamas. Get dressed. Yeah, okay, I better. So I went and got dressed. And honest to God, 30 seconds after I got dressed, somebody showed up at the front door. Oh, I just wanted to surprise you. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, so it's things like that. I think our biggest struggle is if intuition would just explain to us why it wants us to get dressed, why it wants us to call that person, why it wants us to leave now, go to the grocery store now. If it would explain it to us, I think we would trust it a lot more. But
that's right.
I think that's where the universe gets its kicks is, oh gosh, she didn't trust me again. Okay, she'll learn. And honey, so much of it is just trusting and acting on it, and then smacking ourselves on the back of the head saying, I knew I was supposed to do that. Why didn't I listen? Why don't I listen? How often do we say that to ourselves? Why didn't I listen?
That's right. And just trusting our gut instinct and learning to decipher the difference. And you've spoken about how your gut feeling, how it's meant to feel in your stomach. Do you want to share a little bit more about that?
Honey, some people say, well, can it be in my heart? Yes, it can be. It can be anywhere in your body. It's just know that it's an energy inside of your soul, and it keeps things very brief, gets right to the point when it has something that it wants to tell you. Usually it's guidance to help our lives be easier, not harder. And so, I tell my students, pay attention from your heart area down to your gut area, down to your belly button. It's like it's in the center of your soul. It's what it seems to me. And whenever I've looked at intuition, I always see this white kind of really pretty ball of energy. And honey, one time, and I'm sure, you're a better expert at my books than I am, for God's sakes.
Got 3 right here. We got 3 right here.
You're the best, honey. But I remember, in one of the books I talk about having intuition and wondering, well, that was before I connected the dots and realized that intuition was the voice of God. And that was back in the 80s when everybody was talking about their higher self, or maybe 90s, I don't remember. And I thought, I said to a friend of mine, is God really inside of us? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, how do you know? And he said, you have to meditate. Well, oh gosh, there's the M word again. And so when I got on the treadmill one day, I held onto the bars and I closed my eyes and I said, God, are you really in there? And I was looking, mentally, I was looking down here. Honest to God, honey, this beautiful white light just shot out of me and said, yes, I am. And it totally freaked me out. I kept my hands on the handle, on the bars, and I still had my eyes closed, but there was this light and it just stayed there like that. And I didn't even know what to say. I was just, I didn't know. And then when I was done, then I got off and I ran upstairs like, oh my God, I'm never going down there again to the treadmill. And then the next day I went back and I did it again. And I said, God, are you still in there? And the light came out, but it turned into this beautiful sword. It looked like Excalibur. And And I said, why do you look like a sword? And this knowing in me said, because I am your protector. And so after that, every time I got on the treadmill, I talked to this knowing inside of me.
Yeah.
And that's, honey, that's how it just seemed to get really validated when I saw, oh my goodness, this energy really is inside of me. It made it more real rather than just, oh, it's women's intuition. Men don't have it, women do. It's this quirky thing. It's like,
Yeah.
no, it is by far a quirky thing.
Oh,
It's,
and
yeah,
and this is the thing. If people can put aside the religious connotation that
yeah,
God is usually connected with, and
yeah,
realize that we are inherently source energy, having a physical experience,
yes,
I think people would be talking more openly to this source. And people have to know that it's there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It will never leave you for the moment that you enter the earth until you take your last breath on this planet, and
yeah,
to call on it, to speak to it. If I can just quickly mention, I remember watching a lady speaking about her near death experience, and when she was a nurse and she had allergic reaction and she crossed over and she had died, she was out, and she mentioned how when she was going through her experience and had crossed over, God had taken her and rolled out her DNA, and there was this tiny golden shard, this one little line in her DNA, and he pointed and he said to her, there, this is me, in you, this is in
whoa,
everybody. She
woo,
said,
woo.
yeah, she said when she came back, because she knew she was coming back because it wasn't her time, she still had work to do,
Okay,
completely changed her life. And NDEers and people that have crossed over, they do.
yeah,
They have a
yeah,
total change in their lifestyle,
yes, they do.
friends, jobs. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, honey, I do. Yeah, um, yeah, it's so amazing to me. It's just so amazing, and um, you know, very soon. I'm gonna have my own TV show. Mm.
Wow.
Yeah,
Oh
honey,
my gosh.
I'm calling it Enough is Enough. And I'm going to really talk about all of this on the show.
Oh,
And
so exciting.
no more pussyfooting around religion. It's like we're going to talk about religion and why do you say the things that you do? Why do you say that psychic abilities are wrong when they are talked about in Corinthians?
Mhm.
Why don't you tell us about the still small voice talked about in the Bible?
Yeah.
What is your deal? Why don't you want us to know that we can talk to God directly, that we have God within us,
Yeah.
what our gifts are? I'm pretty excited about it. It's going to probably start
Yeah.
in about 1 or 2 weeks, honey, and
Okay.
it's going to be available everywhere. I'll
Okay. So
tell
you
you
have a
more.
link. You have links to
Yeah,
share, or is it going to be on
yeah,
your website or?
yeah, honey. I don't have the links yet, but I will have probably. Oh, sorry, I just got a sliver in my finger. I'm going to have the links possibly next week, the following week for sure.
Okay.
And then I'll send it to you. You'll know everything. Everybody will know how they can catch the show. But
And
it's
that's
going to be
fantastic.
on. It's going to be on Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock Central Time, and so I don't know what time it'll be in your part of the world. But
Yeah. Is that on a
anyway,
specific channel
it's
or?
going to be, honey. It's going to be not like regular program TV. It's going to be like on oh gosh, what's it called? Amazon Fire, Spotify, iHeart, Facebook, YouTube,
Yeah.
and then all the other ones like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, blah, 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 blah. Honey, you should see this network. It's huge. And
Oh,
my producer said that there are 150 million subscribers to this
yeah.
network. Yeah.
Well, this is the
So,
platform for you to, really iron out the wrinkles with this kind of
yes.
work.
Yes. Yes. Because the other thing that, oh, it just bugs me. Parents or grandparents who bring their kids to me and say, she's acting weird, or she says she sees ghosts, or he says he can see the future. What can I do to fix them so they don't do this? Because my pastor says that it's evil. I've heard that so many times, and that's why I'm calling the show Enough is Enough. We're gonna really talk about this whole genre that we're in, honey. It's just, come on, it's time. People are asking a lot of questions.
And that's crazy. And I mean, you've been in this field and this work for a very long time, so how the hardships and the challenges you would have faced.
Yeah, honey.
Then
Yeah.
it would have been 1,000 times worse.
Yeah.
But it really comes from a place of fear, doesn't it? Like when you
It does.
it really
It does. Yeah. Fear, and I think control also. I hate to even talk like that, but you got to ask yourself, why does religion teach people that they can't talk to God directly? Why?
Yeah.
What? It's got to be a control thing. I don't even understand, honey, that kind of thinking. But so we're going to talk about everything.
That'll be fantastic. And this
I know
myself why I've never been drawn to any set religion. I feel like my church is within me. I feel like I can pray to God wherever. I don't need to be in front of my altar. I could be anywhere. I could be in the car. I could be grocery shopping. It's constant. And God, this source energy, this prime creator, wants us to engage, wants us to have more light in our lives and to feel its presence within us. And
I agree, honey. I agree. Another thing that really lately has just been irritating me is why doesn't religion teach about karma?
I don't know.
Why? Honey, if all these people, let's talk about war for a second. If Putin really believed in karma, would he be doing this kind of stuff? Would he know that he's going to be held responsible for the decisions that he's making regarding thousands of people's lives? It's like, but religion doesn't teach it. Yeah, they give us the golden rule for about 5 minutes and then move on. And the golden rule is all about karma. And so we're going to talk about that too.
That's going to be really interesting because, and you make a really valid point, because so many people, they must be, to me, when people act and want to have war and want to intimidate, countries, I just think, my gosh, you must be so far removed and separated from the God energy to think like this and want to inflict so much harm on innocent people, and not just people, but the land, and just projecting that energy. I think to myself, my gosh, when that karmic wheel comes back around, it's going to be hard and it's going to be heavy. And I just think when prior to coming into this life, I know we all have set agreements and we make choices with who's going to play what role. And in the end, it really doesn't matter so long as we learn the reasons of why we came here and fulfill our missions. But still, it still doesn't excuse awful behavior.
I know.
And we could help them by leading by example and showing them, no, this is not how we're going to progress as a collective whole.
Right, honey. I know.
We need to change, because otherwise, I feel psychically that within the next 5 to 10 years, Echo, some big things are going to happen. And I don't, how do you feel about that? How do you feel?
Honey, you know what? Lately, I haven't even been trying to feel the future, because it doesn't, when we were younger, well, when we were all younger, we'd think about the future and, okay, it's going to be the same as last year. But no, it's like, we have an idea of how life is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe as we were growing up, that's how it was for a long, 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 long time.
Yeah.
Well, we can't even go there anymore. It's nothing that we can count on. The weather is crazy.
Yeah.
There's so many changes taking place all the time that I don't even try to go into the future anymore. I don't, honey. Part of it too is I don't even know how to read some of the things that I see. It's like, well, what does that mean? Why is there all that water? Why is there, whatever I see? It's like, I don't know what that means. I don't know what to do about it.
And
So
sometimes just letting it be, like you say, not reading into it and just being in the present moment is the
yeah,
best thing we could actually do for ourselves.
I know, sweetheart. Do you have any sense about it?
Well, I feel like it's been rumbling in my psychic awareness for the last 10 years, because when I was in Mongolia in 2013, I
Uh-huh.
knew I had this sensation that I had to go to Australia,
Yeah.
find a parcel of land, plant loads of fruit trees, and have my own water source. And
Okay.
that has never left me, Echo. And so now I am in outback South Australia. This is actually where I entered the earth.
Okay.
So I feel very grateful that Spirit has led me back here. I
Yeah.
managed to buy my own house. It's a small log cabin here, and I have some land and I have fruit
Good.
trees.
Good.
Um,
Good.
and I feel like whatever's to come, I'm exactly where I need to be. I trust Spirit so much that
Yep.
I know
Good.
that whatever happens in the world,
Good.
number one, and everyone should know this, that number one, I am completely safe. I'm completely safe, as in, even if my life is taken, I am completely safe. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
feeling safe that you're forever and you're eternal and you don't really die. It really is a transition,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
right?
right, hon. Yep.
And I feel completely at peace with my decision to be here. However that plays out, if there turns out to be a global war or another lockdown or something of a grand magnitude, I know I have a peace of mind and I'm content with my choice to be
Yep.
here. And we'll just cross that bridge when it happens.
You're right, honey. You're right. Yep.
What
You
else
know,
can we do?
it was a couple years. No, no. You know what? I think it was before the pandemic. My guides said to stop doing readings for a while. And okay, was there a reason? Of course, they didn't give me a reason, but okay, I'll stop doing readings. And then from time to time, people would ask me, and again, this was before the pandemic, honey, but people would ask me a question about the future, and I'd try to look, and the screen would be blank, and I'd think, I must be under construction again because nothing's happening. And then the pandemic happened. So, I mean, you know, I often wonder, well, if I had seen the pandemic, I mean, there wouldn't be anything I could do about it. And that would just, honey, that would just make people so fearful to say, oh yeah, I see us all in our houses for a year and a half or 2 years. It's like,
That's
what?
right.
Yeah. So,
And I think more than anything, just to mention that promoted more fear in people
yes,
than ever before, worse than any kind of
yes,
virus. At the end of the day, I
yes.
don't think it mattered what the virus was, because the fear
I
that
know.
it locked people up,
I
and
know.
even still does. I can say from my own immediate family, I have family members still, fearful of it.
I get it. I do too, honey. I do. Not family members, but I have friends who, I have a friend, she's in her 80s. She still doesn't come out of the house. She has everything delivered. Her grandkids come and they stay outside of the house and they talk through the window.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's so afraid to get it.
and that then comes to, about the fear of dying and death itself. Now, do you want to actually explain how you had asked God to
Sure,
experience the other side? That would be wonderful.
sure, honey. Okay, so it was let me think here. It all started after a Saturday night. Um, the next morning, I think it was Palm Sunday, and I was out in my garden, and I was thinking about the ghost busting that Michael and I had done the night before. And I was thinking, so I said out loud to God, I said, we're always sending these ghosts to the other side. And I said, I'd really like to have more information about the other side so that I could tell them, instead of just go to the other side. I'd like to be able to tell them what it's like over there. And then I said, if I'm not ready to do something like that, please make me ready. And I said, I remember saying to him, now I'm not going to bug you about this anymore. And that was it. So that was on a Sunday. On the following Wednesday, a client had come for healing for his diabetes. Okay. He was a weekly client. And it was the end of the day, and he was starting to leave. My office was downstairs. He was starting to leave. And honey, all of a sudden my office filled up with this white light.
Wow.
And even with my physical eyes, all I could see was this white light. And I thought, okay, something's not right here. Something's kind of goofy. And then I saw this spirit of this woman in front of me. I could only see the back of her. And she said, come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. And I said to her, I said, who are you? And she didn't say anything. She said, come on, let's go. She was getting impatient. So I hollered to my client, Neil. I said, Neil, hold on. Something's going on here. And he came back down. And I said, something's going on. It's pure white light in here. And there's some spirit that wants me to go somewhere with her. And then my guide said, tell him to get you upstairs to the couch and tell him to call your brother and tell him to get over here right away. Well, God, honey, if you knew my brother, trying to get him anywhere right away is like impossible. But okay. Yeah, Michael. So Neil, I mean, honey, my body was like a rag doll. And this female spirit in front of me kept saying, come on, let's go. And I didn't know who she was. I didn't know where she wanted me to go. So, okay, I got upstairs. I sat on the couch. My body completely collapsed like a rag doll. I told Neil my brother's number. I said, tell him to get here right away, right away. And honest to God, honey, I swear my brother flew, because the next thing I know, he walks in the front door. He looks at my friend Neil. He says, okay, 3 days ago, she asked God if she could have information on the other side. Now, he says, and I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, how does he know that? And because I didn't tell anybody. And he said, so I'm going to sit with her, hold her hand, ground her body, and she's going to go to the other side. And right then, this female spirit in front of me turns around and looks at me, and it's me. It's my soul. Wow. And she says like that, let's go. And the next thing I know, I'm in the tunnel and I'm just looking around like, wow, there's really a tunnel. And honey, it was so interesting. There were so many people in the tunnel that were standing there, and they were holding flowers. They're just waiting for anticipation. They're full of anticipation. Wow. And so I had the thought, okay, why are all these people here? And they've got flowers and they've got balloons. And then into my head comes the words, their loved ones are dying today, and they're there to greet them in the tunnel. And things were happening really fast because I could feel this warmth. I could see the light. It was just like pulling me toward the light. We were coming right up to the light, and I thought, oh my God, I'm going to go blind. And I went right through the light, and there was my grandma, who I hadn't seen since I was 14. Grandma. And she had a friend. She was with a friend, and she said, oh, this is my granddaughter, Echo. And her friend says, oh, I didn't know she was dying today. And my grandma says, oh, no, she's not dying. She's just visiting. And honey, right then, an angel came up and said, I'm going to give you a tour. We have to hurry. This isn't easy on your body. And when she said that, I really didn't even know what she was talking about. But okay. So we just started. Honey, we floated to, first she took me over to this, she called it the pink place. It was a community and the whole aura was pink. I mean, the whole air, everything was pink. And she said, this is the pink place. And honey, we were floating. So I was above the ground and there were people laying in the grass, a whole bunch of people laying in the grass. They had their eyes closed. And I had the thought, now what are they doing? And she said, they're here to get healed. She said the pink place is where people come to get healed. And then she showed me a building and it was a hospital. And she showed me the second floor of the hospital. And she said, the second floor is for suicide souls. And I could see inside and honey, there were beds, just a whole bunch of beds lined up. And there was a caregiver sitting on each bed. So whenever a soul would come over that had committed suicide, especially because I saw angels coming in and laying these souls down on the bed, and the caregiver would just sit there and wait for them to wake up. And then the caregiver would explain to them what has happened, that they tried to commit suicide and they were successful and blah, blah, blah. And okay. Then she showed me the 8th floor of the hospital. And that was interesting because, how do I explain this? She said that this is where people go who had physical challenges, like somebody who was an amputee. Okay. Now, his consciousness is that he's an amputee and that he needs his crutches to walk. But up there on the 8th floor, they're showing him that no, he's a soul and his soul is whole and he doesn't need his crutches to walk around. Mm-hmm. And to see people and the looks on their faces, I remember one person had their glasses on and the caregiver was saying, you don't need your glasses anymore. Oh, yes, I do. No, you don't. Okay. So it was like trying to change their consciousness about themselves. It's very interesting. And I saw people there that believed they no longer had an arm or that they had to be in a wheelchair, and no. So they were up there actually getting rehabilitated, I guess you could say, honey. And then she said, come on, let's go. And okay, we went to another area, and that there was a building there and it was all shut up. There was no windows, no doors. Well, no, there was a door, but the door was closed. And she said, this is the blue place. And I said to her, what's the blue place? And she didn't answer me. She said, come on, let's keep going. Okay. We came up over this hill. We saw this. Oh, it was gorgeous. It was like a Coliseum, honey, a building. It was just beautiful. It had these big white pillars and it had windows and doors, but they didn't have any windows or doors in them. And oh gosh, what else? And so I saw angels flying in and out of the windows and the doors, and they were happy. And oh gosh, it was just something. It was so beautiful. Okay.
The other side is very active. I mean, there's dimensions,
constant
places, and I can't remember if you said or if I heard this somewhere else, but this was one dimension or at least one section of just so many levels that I can't remember if you said you weren't allowed to go up.
Honey, there was. Okay, so bottom line, she showed me 4 different communities. No. I didn't say that right. Well, kind of. 4 different levels of souls.
Mhm.
That's where we were, it was the place where us humans go after we pass. And then I remember as I was finishing the tour, I happened to catch a stairway over to the out of the corner of my eye, and I looked over and I said, "Oh, what's over there?" And she said, "That's the higher levels of heaven. You aren't ready to go there yet." And so then when I was writing, I think it was Echoes of the Soul, I asked my guides, okay, if I can't go there, can you at least describe the different levels? And so they did their best, they kind of laid it out. But bottom line is, those of us here on Earth were level 1, 2, 3, or 4 souls. And once we graduate from level 4, and level 4 souls are people that are on a spiritual path. Okay. Okay. Once we graduate from the 4th level, then we go on to the 5th level, and we no longer, Earth is in our rear view mirror. We no longer have to come back to Earth. But some people can choose to come here if they want to. And those are people that we would call earth angels. Okay. People who come here just to help us. So yeah, honey, the trip was amazing. And I got to see, oh my gosh, she took me to a city. I remember coming up over a hill and looking down in the center of the city. And I remember thinking, gosh, that looks just like Jesus.
Mhm.
And I thought to myself, I wish I could get closer. And just even having the thought, bam, I was down, I was standing right in front of him. And I was listening to him talking. And honey, there had to be thousands of souls there listening to him. And people were sitting up on the mountain and they could hear them. And the people down in front of them, they could hear them. And it just blew my mind that here's Jesus. And I said to the angel, what is this? And she said, this is the city of Jesus. And she said, all the great teachers and masters are continuing to teach. They all have their own place. So if I believed in anybody, yeah, they have their own place. Like if you're Native American Indian, okay, you're going to believe in the Great Spirit, and that might be someplace else. So, and she said that people come to hear Jesus's message. And he said to me, I will continue to teach until everyone understands what I really came to teach. And then, honey, she took me on other places. I mean, but I remember specifically being in that city, being with him, listening to his voice, listening to just feeling his energy. And I remember thinking, okay, I am not going back to my body. I'm staying here. And both the angel and my brother, I didn't know my brother could hear me. They both said at the same time, no, you didn't come here for your benefit. You came here to teach others about this side. And I remember thinking, they can't make me go. They can't make me back. And I'm staying here. And my brother said, sis, you have to come back. And she said, no, you have to go back. But she showed me some other things first. And then I think it was my brother said, sis, your body's having a really hard time. You have to come back. And I think it was right then when I just slammed back into my body. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I just want to mention we've only got 2 minutes left of this section. Are you happy to continue on for a little while longer? Because I know you've got class at 7.
Yeah. So, honey, we can keep going until 6. Do you want to go to, well, okay. All right.
Yeah. Whenever you're able, because I want to make sure you've got enough time. But so this is going to close. How about we close it now and then reopen it?
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, honey.
Okay, fantastic. Oh, very good. Well, I mean, so when you came back into your body
Yeah.
after what you had experienced over on the other side, how was it difficult for you to reintegrate back into physicality?
It was, honey. Actually, I would say for the first 3 days that I was back, I was very depressed because I didn't want to be here. And when I was out, uh, I realized my soul weighed maybe 2 ounces. I mean, I was as light as a feather. And when I came back into my body was like, oh my God, I have to carry this thing around with me again. And it was very interesting. And I was like, I don't want to be here. It's too heavy here. It's too dense, too thick, and people's consciousness and ay, ay, ay.
Yeah.
And I finally, after I think the third day, I just said, heck, you got to get a grip. You got to get a grip. You're here. This is it. Do what you came here to do.
That's right. Earth is
Yeah.
no joke. You know, it really is a tough learning school. But if people can change their perspective and look above the challenging situations they may face in life, because we've all had them. We've all had tragedy. We've all had pain. We've all had loss. And when people realize that what is actually happening to us is not happening to us, but it is happening for us.
Yeah.
It's happening for our own learning. We chose to be in this hard, heavy place, full of density, full of darkness, full of opposition. It just seems there's so much of it. But then when you gain a deeper perspective as to what it actually means and what you mean by being here, it really changes your perspective, thinking, right, well, I've come here for a mission. I've come here for a purpose, and I have got to live it. I have, no matter how hard it gets, because we've all been in very hard situations and nobody comes out unscathed. And if we haven't had hard situations, well, then we know somebody that at least has. And so you know, to then understand and change the perspective of, well, I chose to be here for whatever reason and whatever purpose. And so long as I move towards what, you know, is my authentic self, then you know you are doing God's work. You are, like I've said before on my channel, you're giving God eyes. You're giving God and your perspective. And we are here on God's behalf, on the source's behalf.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
my minister one time said, we are how God gets around.
Yeah. That's right. And so, and you know, you've been in this field for a long time and you've seen a lot more life than what I have. You know, and so you're coming to the later stages of your life. Tell me how has your perspective changed as a woman who is now, you know, you kind of, well, I don't, how would you call it? You're at the culmination of your life.
Yeah, honey.
How has your perspective changed?
It definitely has changed. I'm going to be 75 in September, and
Oh my gosh.
And the closer I get to 75, it's like, wow, this is bizarre. And a lot of things that used to shake me up, I could care less anymore, you know, honey.
So you have a peace. You have a peace about where you are at your age and
but you know, honey, the other thing I'm so aware of is I could go at any day. I could not wake up tomorrow. So get her done today, you know? Yeah. And so get her done. Really, it's time to get it all done. And that's why I was so shocked when this production company called, honey, and said, hey, would you like to have your own TV show? It's like, what? I honey, how often does that happen? So, Yep. It's like I can look at my life and go, yep, that's the next step. Now the TV show. And then I'll be done and I'll go home and I will have
How
done what
God
I came
works.
here to
This
do.
is how God works, isn't it? I mean,
Yep.
we
Yep.
don't know how these things come together and how they formulate and then are presented to us, but
Yep.
this is the mystery of God and the magic of God, because a lot of people think life is just very black and white, and
I know.
it really isn't.
Oh,
Is it?
wouldn't it be icky to live in the black and white again?
Gosh. Oh,
Ish.
it's
Ish.
it feels so unconscious. It feels so
Yeah.
detached.
Yeah.
Never imagine that. And
No.
and
No.
I think, but I think, I can't think of a better person to be having on a TV show talking about this, because I've always
Thank
said
you. Thank
I
you.
don't know any better psychic than you, Echo. Truly.
Thank, thank you. Thank you.
Truly, and there is no one that I feel is more approachable, more practical,
Good.
and
Good.
your understanding, your patient, and like your scope on this in this field is just it. I'm sorry, but it's unmatched. It's unmatched.
Thank you. Thank you.
Truly.
Thank you, honey. That's really, really nice.
I'm not
Really.
surprised. I'm not surprised they come to you.
Yeah. Well, I was. But honey, you're right. I mean, I look back, I look at the books and I go, yeah, I've gathered a lot of information over this lifetime. I've been able to learn a lot of things. And, like earlier, you said that people are curious about what happens when we die. And that has always been a fascination of mine. What does happen? What do we do? What does it feel like? Uh, and honey, one thing I know for sure is that there is no black and white answer for death. I would love to say, oh, we we die. It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't hurt our soul. It probably hurts our body. It just depends upon how we go. But and there's grief. Our souls grieve, our bodies, our life. Nobody ever taught us about that.
Yeah.
We somehow were given the impression when we were younger that, we die, we go to heaven, we're really happy. It's like, but when you think about it, is that realistic?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, okay, the bill collectors aren't calling anymore, but we don't have to pay taxes anymore. But wait a minute, I miss my family. Wait a minute, I miss my dog. Wait a minute, and so I have been lucky because people have asked me, would you check in on my uncle or my mom or my dad and see if they're okay because they recently died. And so I've been able once again to learn about these things and see that, like with suicide people, that's been so interesting to me to see souls that have committed suicide. Honey, I can't even tell you how many of them have come to me and said, okay, you know what? I just needed a break. And now I feel much better. Mm-hmm. So I just need to find my body. Do you know where my body is? Yes. They have this idea that they can just go find their body now and they can just go back to life. Yeah. What? I mean, but so many of them have said to me, I just needed a break. That's all. I just needed a break. I didn't mean to hurt everybody. I hadn't thought it through like that. I thought when I got over here, everything would be roses. And I still have the same pain inside of me that I had when I was there. Can you help me find my body so that I can carry on? It's like, no,
you talk about the state of limbo when people cut their lives short, because it's not a solution. Anybody that's in a dark place or in a challenging place, it is, suicide is not a solution, because you will have to come back and have a similar experience again to learn the understanding, learn the purpose of what it is that you came to start with. So
right, honey. Right.
It doesn't stop. So it continues on even in the afterlife,
I know, honey.
You knew it was going to be hard when you chose, okay, I'm going to choose these parents and I'm going to choose this, and this. and it's
Yeah.
all, it's all approved and, I guess settled on. So even though you come in with that, that forgetfulness of
Yeah.
what it is you chose, and you think, oh my God, my life is so hard, I'm going to commit suicide. It's not a solution, and
No.
it's not a solution, no matter how hard life has been for you, because you will have to
Yeah.
pick up from where you left off.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the thing people don't understand is the depression that we feel, it's in our soul.
Yeah.
Our soul has regrets. Our soul, and this can be from other lifetimes that our soul is still carrying this depression. And so, I remember my ex-husband, he said he's been depressed since the day he was born. And I really believe he came into this lifetime to heal it once and for all. And unfortunately, he ended up committing suicide again.
Gosh.
So, yeah. So he'll be back. It's like,
it is. And, it's often a bleak subject to talk about. And many people are struggling in the world. But when they know that there are other solutions, and it's not medication. I mean, obviously it can be,
yes.
if you have chemical imbalances or your body is not functioning right, because there is that.
Yeah.
But also, so medication absolutely has its purpose and its place. But like you say, a lot of it is karmically, it's like karmic lint. It is on our soul, like it's like etheric lint that we knew when we came in what we signed up for, and we have to, with all our might and strength and love from God. And this is where I'm saying people need to develop a really conscious relationship with their creator, with the light, because you will never feel alone with it. You feel like you can call on that all the time, and it's not a fake, phony, imaginative thing. I know when I've had my own struggles, and I certainly have, particularly being alone, not so much now, because I've spent a lifetime of being on my own, and I haven't understood that at times, but now, and I'll say over the last even 6 months, I have found a clarity that I have never felt before about the idea of being lonely. And that really just pushed me to develop my relationship with God and Source so much deeper and harder than I ever have before. And I'm telling you, Echo, it has made a supreme difference. I do not feel lonely anymore. I don't feel lonely. So it happens to all of us. We all have our challenges. We all have our reasonings for being here and going through what we go through. But at the end of the day, we chose it, and we were chosen, and we chose it to be here. So we have got to dig deep and trust in the light of God. I don't want to sound like I'm preaching to people, but truly, is the essence of what we are. We are so much more than physicality, and we we've got to learn that. We've got to know that there is magic in life. It isn't black and white, and we have got to find within ourselves that spark, that golden line of God that I spoke about, the rolling out of the DNA. It's all of us. And it, once you find that, you will find and start to nurture a warmth and a radiance within yourself that you've never felt before. And you will know about that.
Got it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right, honey. Yeah, that's right.
Oh my gosh, Echo, it's been amazing. I know you've got to go now. So are there any last parting words that you would like to share with viewers on here about, really finding themselves, and anything to do with finding a deeper sense of their own spirituality? What should they do?
I think the most important thing for people is to find their intuition and really work on developing a good, solid relationship with it. Because I know honey, I rely on mine 100%. I mean, for everything, and people can do that, and it does make the life so much easier. So get books. There's lots of books out there. I wrote a book called A Still Small Voice. I highly recommend. And there are other wonderful books on intuition.
Wonderful books right here, People of Earth.
Yeah, yeah, People of Earth.
Books.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right, honey.
Change your life.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Echo,
Do it.
just a fountain of knowledge. And truly, I also believe what you're saying 100%. Our intuition is the breath of God. It is the
Yep.
breath of God working through us. And
Yep.
we do not have to walk this path alone. Bottom
That's
line.
right, honey. That's
And
right.
you always have help. You just have to ask for it. You have to have a deeper connection with God. Like truly,
Yep.
that
Yes.
is what it's all about. And
Yep.
so,
Honey, that one thing I want to say before I go is, if your listeners are listening to us and they're thinking, oh God, screw that, I'm not talking to God, I'm mad at God. You know what? When I teach an intuition class, the first night of class, their assignment is to go home and write out all the anger they have towards God and all their ideas of what they think God is, so that they can get in touch with, do they have a lot of anger? Do they have a lot of resentments? Do they hate God? Because a lot of people do. And then start looking for the real God, not the religious God, but the real God. And that's when your adventure begins.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Not a religious. See, this is the thing that if you can call it God, you can call it prime
Yep.
creator, the most radiant one.
Yep.
It doesn't matter at the end of the day. It doesn't denounce the fact that it's within you anyway. You could
Yeah.
call it chocolate cake if you wanted to. I mean,
Yes. If you want to, you can. Yes.
and
Yeah.
God doesn't care about that. It's just, I think what God cares about is you having that relationship with it.
Yes.
And
Yep.
he or she, or however
Yep.
you want to say it. But I think
Yep.
you're exactly right. I think just in knowing your intuition and knowing it is the voice of God, it is the breath of God with you throughout your entire life, every single day, every single breath and waking moment that you have. God
Right.
is with you. And not just that, you've also got your guardian angel, you've also
Yeah.
got the angelic realm, and you've got spirit guides that
Yeah.
are surrounding you as well. So
That's right.
the whole family around you.
That's right. Nobody is alone.
That's
Nobody.
right.
So
Oh,
do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Find
that's
it.
right. That's right. Echo, it's been such an honor and a privilege to have you here again.
Thank you.
And I love that we have talked about, some challenging subjects
Yeah.
tonight. So, I really appreciate your time and your energy giving us, your wisdom and your
Thank you,
knowledge
honey.
again. And I hope you're
Thank
feeling
you, honey.
better.
I will. I will.
Yeah.
I will. And honey, whenever you feel inspired to do it again, just let me know.
Thank you
Okay.
so much. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah, I've
Yeah.
had a lot of questions and comments, and so many people have enjoyed your time. So we will
Good.
keep in touch. And please let me know if you can send me the link of
Yeah, I will.
the TV show
I will. Okay,
when it comes up. That'd be
okay, I
fantastic.
will. Thank you, honey.
You're welcome. I send you so much love, Echo. Take care of
Thank you,
yourself.
honey.
Have a good night. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.